fear.
I was adopted. I never knew my real mother, rather. I knew her at one time, but I left her side when I was too little to be able to remember her. I loved my adopted family, though. They were so kind to me. I ate well, I lived in a warm and comfortable house, and I got to stay up pretty late. Let me tell you about my family real fast. First, there's my mother. I never called her mom or anything like that. I just called her by her first name, Janice. She didn't mind at all, though. I called her that for so long. I don't even think she noticed. Anyhow, she was a very kind woman. I think that she is the one who recommended my adoption in the first place. Sometimes I would lay my head against her in front of the television, and she would tickle my back with her nails. She is one of those Hollywood mothers. Second, there's Dad. His real name was Richard, but he never really liked me much, so I began to refer to him as Dad in some desperate attempt to get his affection. It didn't work, though. I think that no matter what I called him, he would never love me as much as his own child. And that's understandable, so I really didn't press the matter. The most notable attribute of Dad was his unmoving sternness. He was not afraid to pop his children when they did something wrong. I found that out before I could use the restroom properly. He never hesitated to spank me. But I'm in line, and it's because of his methods. Lastly is my sister. Little Emily was really young when I was adopted, so we were about the same age, but she was slightly older. I like to think of her as my little sister, though. We got along better than any sibling could possibly get along. We would always stay up late together and just talk. Well, she did a lot of the talking. I mostly just listened because I loved her. It was such a great setup we had. We were short on bedrooms, so because I didn't want to sleep in the living room by myself when I was little, I had a pallet set up for me next to Emily's bed on the floor. This is where I slept ever since, but it was cool with me because I enjoyed being with her, and I had always felt pretty protective of my little sister. Everything changed on a horrible Wednesday night. I was at home taking a nap when little Emily opened the front door. The sound of the door opening pulled me to a state of consciousness, and I walked from the room down the hall to the living room. And that's when I first remembered it was Wednesday. I was never any good at keeping track of what day it was. Actually, I'll just go ahead and say it. My sense of time is horrible. But nevertheless, I knew it was Wednesday because Emily had just come home from her church's youth group gathering. She walked in the front door and hugged me, and then was followed in by Dad and Janice.
You have a good nap?
Janice said teasingly as she ruffled up my hair. I just shook my head away and snorted in a manner that clearly expressed that I was teasing back with her.
Don't you snort at your mother like that,
said my father gruffly with authority. He shut the door behind him and hung up his coat.
I was clearly joking,
I growled under my breath. He must not have heard me. I didn't feel him smack me. Emily then proceeded to our room and I followed. She started telling me about her day. You know, usual teenage girl stuff, but I listened so that she would feel better. After her summary, she suggested watching TV, and I obliged, and jumped onto the couch as she was going for the remote. She rolled her eyes at my little brother like immaturity, and scooted me over and sat down. The TV turned on and we watched it together until the sun went down. Emily was the kind of girl that, instead of watching cartoons and soap operas, would rather watch Discovery and Animal Planet and National Geographic. I like those things too, so I didn't mind. Actually, those were the only channels that could hold my attention. So, it got late and Janice walked up behind the sofa.
Emily, it's past your bedtime. Turn off the television and go to your room. You two.
She was pointing at me. Emily turned off the program we were watching grudgingly and stood up. She started down the hallway to our room. As I followed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. We went into our room and Emily turned off the light. Just as she did, I caught a flash of movement out of the corner of my eye. It was out the window, but as soon as I redirected my line of sight to where the window was no longer in my peripheral vision, whatever I thought I saw was gone. I still remained alert, for my sister's sake. I laid there in darkness, with nothing but the thin ray of light from the street lamp outside to illuminate the room. It wasn't much. Time and time again, I could have sworn that I heard subtle noises just out the window. A twig breaks, leaves crunching, clothes ruffling, and all the while, I could smell a faint stench of sweat and blood. I kept my eyes open most of the night. The sounds outside subsided and the smell left my nose. I began to feel at ease. My eyelids closed. Not long after that, I heard a very loud crash on the other side of the house. I was up in an instant.
There's someone in the house.
I barked with extreme adrenaline coursing through me.
Wake up!
I pleaded with Emily. She did, and as soon as I saw her sit up, I ran to my parents' bedroom. Dad was dead. His neck was splayed open and gaping as blood spilled out of it, off the bed and onto the floor. I saw that the master bathroom's door was closed, and just before it, on the outside, was a man. A man? I don't feel comfortable calling it that. He was very large and rugged. He turned around and saw me, and that's when I saw him accurately for the first time. I won't forget it. His eyes were large and beady and trapped with lust. He was styling a beard that was badly unkempt with blood dripping off. His clothes were dirty and his face was cold. Just then, I noticed the same horrid smell of sweat and blood from earlier. But this time, it was overwhelming. He saw me. He saw me and grinned with a set of crooked yellow teeth. That smile threw me off. I thought that I was going to die. But then he turned back to the bathroom door, completely unfaltered by my presence. I was terrified and didn't know what to do. I just yelled and cried. I watched as he shouldered through that door that was my mother's only protection. I watched as he raised the large razor that he was carrying. And I watched as he sliced her open and tore her to shreds. I then heard something. The last thing that I wanted to hear. It was Emily's scream coming from behind me. The large monstrosity looked up from my butchered mother and stared at my little sister. I was distraught. He stood up and quickly started walking towards us. My sis turned and ran, and I was at a loss when he bypassed me and went straight for her. Why was she still in the house? Had she not assessed the situation and ran? Apparently not. And now she was dead, and I was alone. I ran after them both. I expected the man to kill her as he did the rest of the family, but I was sadly mistaken. He grabbed her by the arm and jerked her as a way to make clear that he was in control. He dragged her through the house. I was making all the noise I could now, hoping and praying that someone could come to my aid. He mustn't take her. Not her. As he passed me, I backed against the wall and whimpered with terror.
Why?
He didn't respond except by putting his free hand on my head, while Emily screamed in the other.
Good boy,
He said. He gave me another crooked grin and a very cold, unnatural laugh. I followed him to the door where he dragged my helpless sister after him. He opened it, pulled her out, and slammed the door shut behind him. I am now sitting in the house with my mutilated, adopted parents, shivering and whimpering with dismay. He's out there with her, doing who knows what to her. And I can't do anything. I would if I could, but I just can't. I would chase after them in a heartbeat, but I can't. All I can do is sit here, looking at the front door. I look down at my paws. If only I could open doors. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this story as much as I did reading it to you. If you like the content here and you want to see more, and trust me, you want to see more, just please go ahead and shank that subscribe button. It would mean a lot. Just a quick word, I would really want this channel to be a success, and I need your guys' help to do that. So please, if you can, like, share, and subscribe. It would mean so much. And also, don't forget to press that notification bell by the subscribe button. It apparently means a lot in the YouTube algorithm, and in order for me to get my rating up, I need you guys to press the alarm button and the subscribe button. So if you could do both of those things, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you have a story that you want me to narrate, please just tell me in the comments below and I'll take a look at them. Until the next story, sleep well. You'll need it.